something people need to take into consideration when they look at proof of work systems, because this is sort of where I came down the rabbit hole of this problem, and I was sort of like dumbfounded that you could mine Bitcoin back in 2010, no problem, made a couple Bitcoin and be incredibly wealthy right now. But if you wanted to mine Bitcoin right now, you would need a ever increasingly larger and larger processing unit to do so. And it just asked me the question of, well, at what point does it stop scaling upward and it levels off to be able to, like, plateau to be able to run a network? So I kind of just, I wouldn't even say like crunch the numbers. I kind of just did some basic math, sort of equating the amount of power used to scale it from where it was in 2019 in the hash power to where it is now and the amount of power growth. And if you do that it follows an exponential curve. Like, you could plot the curve out perfectly. And if you keep doing that outwork, by the time you get somewhere between 5 and 10%, you don't have enough power on the planet to maintain the amount of power that needs to go into the system to execute the Bitcoin network. And people like to make this excuse that, like, oh, well, all these other systems are all incredibly energy intensive. Also, what makes Bitcoin so wrong? And it's not that Bitcoin uses a ton of energy, which is a problem. It is that Bitcoin energy scaling problem that gets exponentially worse the more people that are on the network. And it's one of those things too. There's a few things that come with that, but the main point is that. And then you can kind of go into speculating of, well, what would happen if it wasn't, if it wasn't economically viable to run on the network anymore, or what would happen if there was a consolidation event and one node ran a 51% attack because it's not economically viable and people left. Like, there's so many different avenues that you can go down that's based off this one fundamental problem. And it only gets worse too if you get into like the tether thing, because if you pull liquidity from the network and the value drops. One thing I also stated before too is there's a hypothetical value out there that the miners needed to be able to continue mining Bitcoin profitably, or nobody will be able to. So there are a few, and this all comes down to the scaling problem. It really does come down to the overall energy scaling problem that create all these other bubble problems out from it. And there is no, like, people like to say that there's a solution in the Lightning Network and some other stuff too. And it's one of those things where yeah, the best way I could describe it is, imagine like having your uncle, right? And he's got his like old like Chevy truck from the 80s that he loves so much. And he's like, look, like, whatever you have to say about it, we could just make it new. We could update it. And to yourself, no, there's no amount of anything you can put on that truck that's going to make it run like a new Prius. Like, I'm sorry, like, you could put a Prius engine in there and it'll still run like a freaking truck. Like, and that's essentially where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's in a position where the fundamental architecture of how it was built out, and it's kind of funny too, because I actually have my own suspicions that whoever built Bitcoin knew this problem, and I think they launched it out there because they have a better system already. Because if you wanted to say Satoshi Nakamoto was so smart to create the Bitcoin network, you can honestly, like, you can't say that he wasn't smart enough to realize the scaling problem in the math of the system he created. Like, you could write out the problem on the math of a napkin and find out how much power it would take over so many people using the network, solely based off the amount of people that use the network the first year and how the hash rate changed. Like, it's kind of crazy that people don't talk about it, but I think it is one of those things where I think if people talked about it, it could actually cause people to panic, because it's one of those things where most people aren't really accustomed to the math of it, but it doesn't take a genius to realize that something can be mathematically improbable. And it's very easy to tell that it's mathematically improbable, even though you may not know the technical, algebraic formulation that causes that improbability. And I think that's why people don't talk about it, because I think people are genuinely scared that may be the case. And you may call me wrong, whatever, but that doesn't change the fact that if that is the case, there's a huge problem with proof of work systems as a whole. And it's something, like I said, people don't talk about it, but it's an inevitability. And one thing that you actually see now is you'll actually see a strain on the electrical infrastructure before you saw that problem of us not having enough power to run the Bitcoin network. You'll see them short out their local electrical infrastructure way before you see there not being enough power to run the Bitcoin network, because it's so power intensive.
Welcome back, guys. Once again, back with some more crypto news / information. Things have been heating up in the space. I did mention this in one of my previous videos about how Chris Larsen has created a campaign is that he's invested 5 million into a campaign, a Greenpeace campaign against Bitcoin, basically saying that he thinks Bitcoin should change his consensus mechanism over to proof of stake, as it is on proof of work at the moment, and Chris Larson saying it's not sustainable. In my opinion, I don't believe it's sustainable either. As you just heard, my boy Quincy just broke it down to you and said that Bitcoin is like an old Chevy, and even if you try to put a new and approved engine inside it, it's still gonna be or still gonna run like an old Chevy. I mean, that's my analogy. That's a good analogy to have. Another analogy that I kind of compare Bitcoin and XRP to is that Bitcoin is like Blockbusters and XRP is like Netflix. I know some of you might have heard me say that before. I'm saying it again. That's the analogy that I stick to. I mean, it's the same as the dot-com bubble. We had Yahoo, you know. Yahoo was like one of the big search engines or whatever it was back in the days of the early stages of the websites. Now no one uses Yahoo no more. Yeah, everyone's just Google. So even though Bitcoin's the first one, a lot of people got sentimental value to it. I know, guys, I get it, yeah, but it's not to say that Bitcoin's gonna last or it's gonna, be at the top. There's underdogs coming, man. I mean, my bets are on XRP and Ripple. You guys might be betting on something else, We're all entitled to our own opinion. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Bitcoin. It was the first one to get, the crypto space going, but in my opinion, I don't believe it's gonna, be sustainable for the future, and it's gonna stand the test of time. Maybe it will, but like Chris Larson, I agree with Chris Larson. It does need to adapt. It needs to move over to a different mechanism, consensus mechanism. It needs to move over to proof of stake. Yeah. And another theory that people are coming out with is that we could see Bitcoin move over to a different blockchain, different platform. I know the maxis don't like that. Right now, the maxis are going mad. Yeah, they are going mad. They're kicking off on Larson right now. I think there's a video coming out with Pump and Larson. I think it's coming out today or tomorrow, guys. I'm not sure. And I keep you informed on that one. But things are looking interesting. So we got some more news, guys. Sinfin's XDC becomes a leading token of value on the Corda network thanks to the DASL crypto bridge. Once again, guys, we've got another bridge which is going to be, bridging assets, making things more interruptible. DASL is an adaptable technology solution for digital assets built on Corda and uniquely designed to be interruptible with other DLTs to allow for consolidation of technology over time. The launch of the first Corda to crypto bridge powered by DASL means that value can move freely between the Corda public network and other leading public blockchain networks. With this unique bridging technology, data can be recorded privately on the Corda network, while limited data sets are transferred to the XDC public network, in essence, mitigating institutional risk and turning Corda into a hybrid network. By extensions, this shared ledger will connect the XDC token with every other core dApp on the public Corda network. So this is big, guys. This is a big advancement for XDC. I mean, XDC is going to be big, guys. Right now, it's at a steal. It's at a premium price. This is not financial advice, guys. I'm not a financial advisor, but make sure you do your own research when you're investing and don't invest what you can't afford to lose. But I'm going in XDC, and I can see XDC being big over the next few years. Next, we have BIS releases a game-changing subtech prototype. The BIS Innovation Hub Singapore Centre and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, has developed a new prototype platform that integrates regulatory data with articles and news to help identify potential risk to the individual's bank and the banking system. Conceived as a cross-border common data model that could be shared by supervisors around the globe, the Ellipse prototype applies machine learning and natural language processing to unstructured and granular reporting data. This allows identification of risk correlations and sentiment analysis so as to alter supervisors in real time to issues that may need further investigation. So more advances there for banking of international settlement. This does look interesting, guys. I'm gonna keep you more up to date with this one. Next, we've got Flare Networks new roadmap. They are aiming to launch Flare Network by the 4th of July, guys. So, you know, we've got a few more months to go. Have patience. The team is working, guys. They are working. They are gonna be. I mean, if we I'm not gonna read this article out. I mean, if you're in a Patreon group, articles in there for you. But I do suggest you to give this a read. This is gonna be big. They can pull this off, guys. I mean, they're looking to connect everything. That's their new slogan, guys. Connect everything. So, like I said, going forward, multi-chain, interruptibility, these are the new keywords that you need to be looking out for, guys. Yeah, because we're moving into a new phase now where a lot of these blockchains are going to be interruptible and they'll be able to speak to each other. Whereas before, you know, each blockchain was just on its own. There was no interruptibility. Moving into a new phase. So the more of these blockchains that are interruptible with each other, can speak with each other, can transact with each other, they're the ones where, you know, a lot more activity is going to be going on, and a lot more capital will be flowing through them, guys. So just to let you know. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to leave that there with you, quick and sweet and short. Appreciate you taking time out, checking the content, and I'll get back to you guys soon. Peace.